And with that, to initiate proceedings, once again join me in welcoming the President of the Sri Lanka Association of Urological Surgeons, Dr. Manjula Wijewardena, for the welcome address.
Ayubowan, Vanakkam, Namaste, Salam Alaikum, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. President of the Urological Society of Asia, Dr. Yasser Farahat, and other distinguished Urology Association presidents on the head table, and my Secretary Kalana, Vice President of British Journal of Urological Surgeons, British Journal of Urology International, Professor Alan McNeill, past presidents of SLAUS, invited fellow professional colleges presidents, members of the Council of SLAUS, members of International Urology Associations, representatives of all sponsoring organizations, including Sri Lanka Convention Bureau, Sri Lankan Airlines, representatives of the pharmaceutical and medical equipment companies, members of SLAUS, and ladies and gentlemen. I have no words to express the honor I feel in welcoming a galaxy of international urology stars in one event in front of well-wishers of Sri Lankan urology. Dr. Yasser Farahat. He was crowned the president of Urological Association of Asia just a month back in Dubai, and it was magnificent of him to accept our humble invitation, visit our small nation, hot on the heels of his very successful meeting in Dubai. In fact, for UAA, that was the meeting with the largest attendance. Thank you, sir. Then it is Dr. David Winkle, the president who gave the presidential medal to Dr. Farahat at the dessert dinner in Dubai just a month back. When we extended our invitation to David, he looked at his event planner and said, by November, when your meeting comes, I'll be the past president. Are you still interested? We said, president or past president, you're so important to us. So we have here in our podium, celebrating with us. Actually, he is representing Urological Society of Australia and New Zealand as its past president. In fact, the president of USANS was about to come, but at the last moment, she has to cancel the plan. Now you all know our dear Professor Madhu Sudan Agrawal, the driving force behind SLAUS. It is his passion and unwavering determination, along with his two disciples, Dr. Pawan Raj Chalesi, who is in the audience, the Secretary General, and Dr. Rajiv TP, the Treasurer, that propels SLAUS forwards. Professor Madhu himself is no stranger to Sri Lankan urology because he has visited us many a times and conducted PCNL workshops in the country. And we really like to watch him get that bloodless PCNL puncture. In fact, Sri Lanka Association of Urological Surgeons has already made him an honorary fellow of the association. Then you have Dr. Jo Creswell, the only lady on the dais. She's the reigning president of British Association of Urological Surgeons. In fact, she's the first female BAUS president. So it's an extra honor for us to have her with us today, celebrating the SLAUS annual academic sessions. She is a world authority on bladder tumor management, including radical cystectomy. All this time, I was thinking that operation is in the realms of the men of the species. Miss Creswell accepted our invitation readily. She did not ask any questions, and she encouraged us to recruit many other international stars in the urology scene. And her engagement made us realize our dream of having SLAUS meeting in Colombo. Then you have our brother nations from the region, the presidents of them, Dr. Sanjay Kulkarni from India, Professor Mohammad Ayaz Khan from Pakistan, Professor Kershadul Alam from Bangladesh, and Dr. Mahesh Adhikari from Nepal. Along with Sri Lanka, we make the SAARC Association of Urological Surgeons. Afghanistan, Maldives Islands, and Bhutan are the other three members of the association, but they don't have a formal national association just as yet. And I'm very thankful for their presence. At this moment, on behalf of Sri Lanka and the Sri Lanka Association of Urological Surgeons, I would like to express our gratitude from bottom of our hearts for the tremendous support these countries, the nations, gave us in our bid to host UAA 2026. We missed the spoils by just one vote, but thank you so much. Let's go back in history. It is 1999, the last year of the last millennium, and it is in fact the last month. On December 18th, 1999, a group of pioneering urologists from Sri Lanka were resolute in forming an association for urological surgeons in Sri Lanka. Sri Lankan urology has started operations in 1957 when Dr. George Nelson Pereira took us the appointment of genitourinary surgeon at then General Hospital, Colombo. Since then, urology has been there, but mainly carrying out open surgeries. So come 1999, these three giants of urology, so I would name them from your left to right, Drs. Serosha Gunawardena, Dr. Neville D. Pereira, and Dr. Anura Wijewardena. Dr. Gunawardena has left us as COVID was arriving at the shores of Sri Lanka in early 2020s. But we have Professor Neville Pereira. He is now the professor, and Dr. Anura Wijewardena in the audience today. I pay tribute to these founding fathers on whose shoulders we stand. Have a look at this picture. It is the photograph of the first council of SLAUS. It appeared in the Sri Lanka Journal of Urology in year 2000. It has a story. Everybody in this picture had their chances to become presidents of the association. Two passed away. One became the president and passed away. And now you're listening to the speech of the last one. Now this illustration, the three Sri Lankan maps, tell the story how Sri Lanka Association of Urological Surgeons enlarged the urological services of Sri Lanka at a tremendous rate since its inception. The first map on your left shows just one urology station in Colombo for a 9 million population. The map in the center, that is from 1999, has 4 urology stations manned by 7 urologists. That is giving 1 urologist for 2.7 million population. And the last map is from this month, November 2023. Now we have 24 urology stations spread length and breadth of the country, manned by 32 urologists, giving a doctor-to-patient ratio of 1 to 700,000. Fast forward to year 2006. Association has been in existence for now 7 years. The time is ripe to have an annual meeting. So on 1st and 2nd December 2006, we had our first inaugural sessions. And UAA, Urology Association of Asia, was instrumental, and they gave us tremendous support to have this. In fact, Dr. Reni Umbas, then president of UAA from Indonesia, he officiated as the chief guest. And he delivered the first SLAUS lecture. This lecture later on became a tradition that we held with much esteem. It is the only lecture allowed at the inauguration, and the speaker is invited to the podium by a citation. And this all happened under the presidency of Dr. Lalit Pereira. And then the secretary was now Professor Neville Pereira. And that small picture with the write-up shows a familiar figure who was the organizing chairman. Then I would like to share with you some details about some of our exceptional urological surgeons in our group, our membership. Now, it is the usual practice when a urologist returns from abroad as a consultant in the field, he is sent to a hospital which is urologically naive. That means there is no urological surgeon at the station. You are supposed to start a unit, recruit staff, procure instruments, open a clinic, run a theater, and look after a ward. And then when the annual transfer comes, you move on to another hospital, and you go on and on. But as most of us have done, we have been responsible to just start one unit in the country. But I found 2 urological surgeons, our members. They are exceptional. They have started 2 units each. So the photograph on the left is Dr. Nandalal Gunaratna. He started the urology units at Colombo North Teaching Hospital as well as Colombo South Teaching Hospitals. Both hospitals are fully fledged teaching hospitals, and these urology units are training our higher surgical trainees in urology at present. Then the other urologist is my colleague, Dr. Susantha De Silva. He started the urology unit at Provincial General Hospital, Badulla, and Teaching Hospital, Anuradhapura. Those units are having massive facilities and catering to very large number of Sri Lankan population. Then similarly, when we are moving international, our access to international urology arena is also led by few members with the help of the others through personal connections. So we acknowledge these members who helped us to elevate the standard of our association. So from the beginning, it is the trio, Dr. Sirosha Gunawardena, Professor Neville Pereira, and Dr. Anuru Wijewardena, who got us into UAA. And they were efficient enough to get a memorandum of understanding with UAA. We are still reaping the benefits of that union. And 3 of them got us into the British Association of Urological Surgeons as well. But as you know, there is no written constitution in England, so we don't have a written memorandum of understanding with BAUS similarly. But of course, that relationship is beneficial to us. Already, 2 BAUS presidents have officiated at our annual meetings when Dr. Anuru Wijewardena was the president, Mr. Duncan Somerton and Mr. Mark Speaksman. So Ms. Creswell is the 3rd BAUS president to grace our occasion. Then I should not leave out my erstwhile colleague and president-elect, Professor Srinath Chandrasekhara. Now, Srinath Chandrasekhara has big imagination and has great plans for our association. He has made inroads to 3 important organizations. First one is a very traditional organization, the Royal Society of Medicine section of urology, but the second one is a sleeping giant. That is the Chinese Urological Association. We haven't really tapped that association as yet. And the third one is the Pakistan Association of Urological Surgeons. I think in the future years, when he's in the presidency, he will use this for mutual benefit. Then you get our urology colossus, Dr. Satish Gunasinghe. Now he is a man with multiple talents. And one of the talent is strategic placement like on a chessboard. He has got us into 2 important, very important, not that the other organizations are not that important. These 2 important organizations he has got us into. One is the European Association of Urology. And that is true entirely by his personal connections. We haven't made a MOU yet, but I think it is possible. But he managed to get a MOU with British Journal of Urology International. And as a result of that, you have Professor Alan McNeil in the audience with us as the BJUI lecturer for our annual session tomorrow. And in this endeavor, he was helped by one of our urology trainees then, Dr. Nishantha Liyenapathirana. Due to the economic situation in the country, such a competent urologist we lost to England, lost to Sri Lanka but gained to England. So under this BJUI memorandum, our trainees get free access to BJUI knowledge. Now, for the members of the audience who are not aware of this website, that is actually like a textbook of urology on the net, so that is very readily accessible compared to a textbook. Then I need to mention some words about Dr. Namantha Nandasena. Now, he usually prefers to maintain a low profile, but he has done great things during his presidency. Because he was a trainee in Australia, he got us a technical link to USANS. That's what Dr. David Winkle represents today. And the most important memorandum of understanding we have is with the Urological Society of India. Dr. Sanjay Kulkarni is representing. And it was the time of Professor Madhu Agrawal's presidency that Sri Lanka entered into a MOU with India. And that is, very much beneficial to us. And through that connection, we became a founding member of the SARC, Association of Urological Surgeons, in 2019. So that happens when Namantha was the president. Fast forward, year 2002, UA is coming to a close in Sydney. A sizable Sri Lankan delegation was also at the meeting. But the Sri Lankan urologists were a depressed lot, not because of any pathological condition. We were going through a very bad time in year 2002, and we were just coming out of the abyss by October 2022. If the audience remember, in July 2022, there is almost anarchy on Sri Lankan roads. People have come out because of the double whammy of economic shutdown, political instability. Our treasury is not having any foreign currency. We are having medicinal stocks depleting, problems there, fuel crisis, fuel queues. So with all that, one can't even think of organizing an annual academic session, because for the previous 2 years, year 2021 and 2020, we were going virtual, like what the rest of the world did. But these small bunch of urologists of the Sri Lankan breed, they were not going to take things just lying down. So they rallied around the then president and organized the annual academic session just 3 weeks after that UA meeting concluded in Australia. So for the posterity to know what really happened, we put the tagline, "Excellence in Urology Through Dark Times." So if somebody is going through the archives of urology in the future, maybe 10 or 20 years down the line, they will realize something would have happened in 2022. So this was all under the presidency of Dr. Suren De Silva. And then this Dr. Kalana Parna Palliyaguruge comes to the picture. He was the secretary then. I must digress from my main lecture to mention something about Dr. Kalana. If the members in the audience or members in the head table were to name just one person, who is the owner of the meeting, the 3rd SLAUS meeting today, and the 18th SLAUS meeting tomorrow, I think there is only a single best response answer. I am putting up this collage to help the audience. You can pick up the persona whose face appear many times in the pictures. See, that is Kalana. Kalana is our lone crusader who has taken our idea of having a meeting through all the international organizations he can think and afford to do. He has visited many a place and canvassed important urological stars to visit us. He did that as a responsibility to elevate the image of Sri Lanka. We had no way to go down. We were really at the bottom. We were on our way up. So he wanted to bring Sri Lanka really up, forgetting about all these economic problems. So I'm sure, all the dignitaries in the dais, they are all presidents except for Kalana. So all others are presidents. They would agree. They are here because of this persistent invitation by Kalana himself. So under the leadership of Suren, I was the president-elect. we were thinking of pitching to bring, not only having a SLAUS meeting in Colombo, we want to pitch and bring an international meeting to Colombo. So we arranged a presentation, we did our feasibility, we discounted for the currency fluctuations, shortages, queues, possible presidential elections by now. So we discounted all that and we made a preparation. So a good time came. That is the Urological Society of India annual meeting in February this year. It was the 56th edition. So 3 of us, Suren, myself and Kalana, we went to Gurugam, India, where they had the UCCON meeting. And this House executive, led by Professor Madhu Agrawal and held by Pawan and Rajiv, they called a council meeting on the sidelines of the UCCON. So we were prepared to pitch for Sri Lanka. And it happened. It happened in the World Heritage City of Love, Agra, home territory of Professor Agrawal himself. So which we pitched for Sri Lanka. The picture you see here is the official picture, but we took one for the media as well. And we pitched big time. So what was our tagline? Sri Lanka has the complete package. So complete package means we have everything to have a grand convention. I think the guests and the delegates who attend the ceremony in the morning would realize we kept our promise. So at the end of a marathon presentation, symposia, debate, crossfire, throughout the day from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., now we are at the moment of the SLAUS celebration. So, lot of tired feet, hoarse voices, but filled hearts and filled minds. So let's enjoy coming together of our urological fraternity at the SLAUS celebration and have an early start tomorrow for more celebratory lectures, plenaries, debates, and symposia. I thank you for your patient hearing.